Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I am super excited today to be making soap for you. Now, you may think to yourself, well, soap is not resin, it's not art, it's not acrylics. To me, making soap is an art. It involves colors, it involves design, it involves technique, all the same that resin and acrylic does, just the end product you're able to use personally. And I will tell you, there is nothing more amazing for your skin than a homemade bar of soap. I've had people that have bought in my soap come up to me and tell me they will never ever go back to a regular bar of soap again. I had one woman that bought some of my soap. She used it, she loved it. She went back to her normal Dove soap, and she said she was itchy everywhere, and her skin had just got so used to the natural nourishment of the oils that I used, and there's no chemicals in homemade soap. So, she just had gotten so used to it, and her skin was so healthy, and then she went and applied that chemically made soap again, and her skin started drying out, etc., etc. So, I'm going to make this video for you. It's a complicated process, but it's not. Once you get the hang of it and you know the terms and you know what does what as far as oils, which ones are good, it is very, very easy to do. This is going to be a lengthy video because I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up, and hopefully produce a beautiful looking bar of soap. Now, here's the kicker. All those Lorez colorants you have been buying, the mica powders, not the paste, the powders, those are safe for your skin. You can use these in soap. You can use these in makeup. Most of my colorants that I had for soap making, I use in resin art because they're all micas. It's all the same thing. So you wouldn't even have to go out and buy colors if you had these already. And it doesn't have to be Lorez. It could be mica powder from a different company. You just check, make sure that they're safe for skin, for personal use. You're good to go. So the type of soap I am going to make is going to be a cold processed goat's milk soap. Cold processed means I mix everything up. I do not heat it in a crock pot. I do not put it in the oven to gel it. Well, that you can gel a soap. I know that's a foreign term to you. You can make cold process and gel it by heating it up in the oven. But that's cold process is taking your oils, adding them to lye that has been dissolved in water, and just whipping up this batch of soap. Hot process soap is when you take all these oils, you put them in a crock pot, and you cook it in the crock pot for a few hours. And then basically what happens is it cooks out this lye that you add in. Instead of the way I do it, you have to, I should have mentioned this first. Cold process, you have to let cure 4 to 6 weeks to get rid of the bad parts of this, okay? This is a very dangerous substance. It's a poison. You cannot get it on your skin. It burns. But when you combine this with the oils take all the poison, all the dangerous stuff out of this lye, and they make it safe for your skin. Now, that may scare you. Look at every bar of soap, every shower gel, any kind of bathing product you have bought from the store, they all have this in there. Sodium hydroxide, aka lye. It is needed to make soap. This is what changes the oils into a solid. It needs to have this. So when you make cold process soap, you need to let it sit for 4 to 6 weeks for the bad parts of this to work their way out. When you do hot processed, you speed up that process by using a crock pot and cooking it out. The only problem with hot processed is you're limited in the designs that you can do. With cold processed soap, as you're going to see, I'm going to be able to do a beautiful swirl. I can do a dirty pour with my colors. I could do so many things with cold process because it's fluid like cake batter. In the end, this is almost like baking. My plan is to make a loaf of soap and then also show you how you can pipe soap on top of the loaf to make it look like an actual slice of cake that has frosting on top. It's beautiful. You guys just gotta watch. You're gonna love it. I had a couple of people over yesterday that I met through our Facebook group, Susanna Dank's group. And let me tell you something. I won't mention the names because I'm not sure if they want me to say anything. But they came over to learn how to make soap. And it was so much fun and just an awesome time. And this, if you try it one time, just like resin or acrylic, you will be hooked. Trust me. So, enough of that. Let me tell you what you need. You need measuring cups. You need mixing utensils, preferably something that's a silicone. If you're going to use metal, make sure it's a stainless steel. And these utensils, you will never use them again for any type of food because you are touching this caustic, not caustic, but harmful chemical. And you don't want to, no matter how good you wash it, you don't want to use it again. So things that you can just use for this sport alone and never use again. You will need some popsicle sticks, just like resin. You will need some colors, which I will show you in a minute. You will need, if you're going to do a multiple color soap like I am, separate containers to mix it in. I'm going to use these plastic cups, but you can use different measuring cups. This one has a funnel specifically for soap to help pour in designs. You'll need rubber gloves. You'll need a pair of goggles because you don't want to splash the lye water in your eye. Trust me, it's not fun. And you'll need your oils. Now, oils are a much more complicated subject, which I'm not going to talk about in here. If you guys like this video and you want me to do more thorough explanations of the oils and all that, you leave a comment below. But for now, I'm just going to tell you the type of oils I'm going to use and the other things that are going to be going into the soap. For the fragrance, I'm going to be using a fragrance called Coconut Citrus Sorbet. It's fresh, it's sweet, it's a really, really awesome fragrance. Let's see what else. You're going to need, most of all, a stick blender, okay? When you make soap and you're going to see, I'm going to put my oils in one pot, and then I'm going to put the lye and the water in another pot, and I'm going to combine them. Then I need to get that batter to a certain consistency, and that consistency is called trace. Trace means that the oils in the lye water are blended and they're one now. And you need to get the batter. I call it the batter because it looks like cake batter. You need to get that batter to a certain consistency. So you can do it by hand stirring, but I'm telling you right now, you're going to be hand stirring for 2 hours. This, 2 minutes, okay? And I got this on Amazon. I'll put a link below for one. I think it was like $12, $13. And then the last thing you're going to need is a mold. Now, I have this. I had bought this off Etsy, I think, for 15 bucks. This is going to hold 30 ounces. I'm sorry, 20 ounces, I believe. I have to look it up. I have it written down. Of soap. 20 ounces from the bottom right to the tippity top. Then, like I said, I'm going to try to pipe on top also some additional soap to make it a fancy looking bar. So I got this off Etsy. I believe it was like $15. And there are tons of molds. You can find them all over the internet. You can get them at the stores, the Michael's, Hobby Lobby, places like that. The silicone baking molds. So that's another thing you're going to need is a mold. So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to get set up, and then I will explain as I go along what I'm doing. Okay? First thing you're going to have to do is get a recipe to follow. I'm going to link the website below. It's called soapcalc.net. And you're going to go in there. You're going to add in the ounces that you want to make. I want to make 32 ounces of soap. You're going to add in the type of oils you want to use, which I'm going to be using avocado, coconut, olive oil, palm oil, almond oil, walnut oil, and grapeseed oil. You're going to add all of those in. You're going to calculate the recipe, and it's going to tell you how much you need of each oil, how much lye you need, and how much water you need. As I said, soap making is a long, involved process. So if I get a lot of comments saying, yes, I want to know, I want to learn, then I will go into teaching all of this stuff. But for now, I'm just going to tell you, I'm using this website, and this is the website you need to get an actual recipe, because in this soap making, it is extremely important to follow to the T amounts. Just like with resin, when you have a 2-part resin, you have got to make sure you have 50% resin, 50% hardener. The same with soap. If it's not exact, it will throw everything off. You'll either have a loaf of soap that won't get hard, or you'll have one that gets too hard and breaks into chunks when you try to take it out of the mold. So that is very important to know. Next thing I need, now to start this, okay, I need to get my lye water going. The water and the oils need to be roughly between, I'd say, 78 degrees and 105 degrees. And here's the thing, the oil and the water need to be within 10 degrees of each other. So if my oils are at 95 degrees, I need the lye water to be anywhere from 95 to 105 degrees before I could put them together. So what I'm going to do first is get set up to make the lye water for you. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is measure out how much lye I need. Now, my recipe tells me I need 3.08 ounces of lye. So I'm going to turn my scale on. That's another thing, you're going to need a scale. I probably forgot 10 million things that you're going to need. As I go, you'll see what they are. So you're going to need 3.08 ounces of lye. So I turn my scale on, I put my cup on there empty, and then what you need to do is hit the tare button to bring it to 0 so that the scale does not calculate the weight of the cup also. So I need 3.08 ounces. So you very slowly want to pour in the lye. You should have your gloves and goggles on by this point. And you want to try to be as exact as you can. If it goes over by 1 or 2 points, it's not a big deal. But if you go over by, 20, 30 points, that's a lot. Then what will happen is your soap will be lye heavy and it will sting when you use it. So I'm at 303, 307, 310. That's fine because when I dump it into the water, some will get stuck into the cups. So that's perfect. So that's the lye. Now, I'm going to hit the scale to clear it off. I need to get 8.36 ounces of water. So, I'm going to get my measuring cup. I'm going to put the water in. Here is a little tip about the water. If your water is good enough for you to bathe in, meaning you don't have hard water, it's perfectly okay to use tap water while making soap. A lot of people will say to use distilled water. My tap water, I can drink in it, I can bathe in it. There's nothing wrong. I don't need filters or anything like that. So it's perfectly fine for me to use. So now I need to measure out 8.36 ounces of water. So I have my measuring cup, gonna hit tare, and I'm going to pour in here 7 ounces, and I'm gonna tell you why. The reason why I'm going to put in 7 ounces is because I want to use goat's milk in my recipe. So the other 1.36 ounces is going to be goat's milk. So I'm going to add the goat's milk to my water until I hit 8.36 ounces. Goat's milk makes a beautiful bar soap, very creamy. Excellent for your skin. $8.36 exactly. All right. So now, here's something very important for you to pay attention to. Never, ever, ever add the water mixture into the lye. Okay? It's a no-no. It needs to always be done in the order of lye going into water. I heard somebody tried to do it and it didn't explode or anything like that, but this is going, once I start adding this to this water, it's going to heat up to 200 degrees in a matter of seconds. And you take a chance of this exploding into your face if you just dump a bunch of water into it. So the way to do it is slowly, okay? Very slowly and a little bit at a time. Now, the goat's milk will turn yellow. That is totally normal. Just add a little bit at a time and stir till dissolved. A little more. I will tell you, this does give off fumes. Do not breathe it in. It is atrocious. Be in a well-ventilated area. And make sure you have your goggles on for splashbacks. Or splash ups, I should say. Okay, just keep adding it a little bit at a time while mixing. I didn't need to use this big measuring cup, but it's what I had on hand. I could also do this, by the way, with 100% goat's milk. And a good thing to do to help cool this off quicker, I didn't have it made, but you can freeze the goat's milk ahead of time and use, or even ice for the water, use ice cubes, and that helps cool this down. Right now I'm going to pause you guys, and I'm going to have to wait about a half hour for this to cool down. As long as you have the total volume of water and lye correct, it doesn't matter what form you put it into this bowl, whether it be ice cubes or just out of the bottle or a carton. Okay, so you can see it's turning yellow. You will not notice it in the soap. The soap is going to be colored, and then the white part of the soap I'm going to color with a white colorant, so it will all be fine. Okay, so that's the rest of it. So while this is doing its magic and cooling down, it's time to go to the oil part of this video. Now, another thing that you're going to need is a heat gun. You have to be able to check temperatures. So I have this heat gun. I will link it below. Amazon, again, I think under $10. So right now this lye is at 162 degrees. 163, 64, 65. It's going up as I mix. It is very hot. I couldn't hold this with my hand. All right, so it gets that hot. So we need to let it sit to the side until it gets down to at least 105. I think 114 is safe, somewhere around there. But we need to get it down. So while we're waiting for that, we're going to work on the oils. Now, for the oils, different oils do different things. Two oils that are, in my opinion, a must-have are olive oil and coconut oil. Olive oil nourishes, coconut oil cleanses, okay? Then there's other things that you can add in for extra bubbles and stuff like that. I will link a website below that explains what all the different oils do. For me today, I'm going to be using the almond oil, walnut oil, grapeseed oil, coconut oil, olive oil, and avocado oil. So let me get those and I will be right back. So now while you're measuring out your oils, it's okay to put them all right in the same container all at once. The important thing to remember is make sure that you tear the scale in between adding each oil. So, scale's at 0. I'm putting my measuring cup on. Hitting tear to get it back to 0. First oil I'm going to add in is the avocado oil. I need 3.3 ounces. So here is my avocado oil. 3.30 ounces. If you live somewhere where there's a BJ's or a Costco's or a Sam's, that is the place to get your oils to do this. Again, now with the oils, if you go over a tiny bit, it's not a big deal. Okay, so there's that one. Now, very important, I'm going to hit tare again to bring it back to 0. Now, the next oil I have on my recipe chart is coconut oil, and they want 5.50 ounces of coconut oil. So, here is my coconut oil, organic coconut oil. And they want 5.50. So I'm just going to scoop it out and plop it in until I reach that magic number. I got a little too much in there. Perfect. Right on the money here. So now I'm going to hit tare again. And the next one I have is going to be olive oil, and that one is 8.80 ounces. Olive oil and the coconut oil are the two that take up most of the recipe. Those are the two you need the most of. One is for cleaning and hardness. One is for moisturizing. Like I said, I'll link that website so you can read what each oil does. You could tailor recipes for acne. I've done those. You can add actual food products into soap. I've made pumpkin soap where I've added pumpkin puree. I've done a tomato bar soap, which is tomato puree, and those are awesome for acne because of the acid in tomatoes. There's a whole wide world of this stuff that you can look into. My suggestion is to just start off with a simple recipe. At least 2 to 3 oils. Well, you have to have 2. I would suggest at least 3. Sorry, you just have to go really slow. Make sure you don't go over. Okay. So that's the olive oil. Now I'm going to hit tare again. The next one is going to be palm oil. 1.10 is what we need. Now, palm oil is attacked a lot because some palm oil comes from the jungle. They cut down these palms and it's killing the earth and all that. I buy, and everybody else can buy, naturally sustained palm oil, which people grow on farms and cultivate and all that. So my palm oil has not killed the jungle in any way. You pay a little bit more for it, but palm oil is very, very good to make a really good solid bar of soap. A little too much. So I'm just gonna aim to take that out of there. Also, if you go over a little tiny bit, it's okay, because a lot of this is going to get stuck in the, well, not stuck, but there will be drips left behind of the oil. So if you have 20 ounces of oil, you're really only getting 19.91 out. So if you're over a couple here or there, don't sweat it. All right, so that's the palm. Next up is almond oil, which is 2.20. Almond oil is excellent, excellent, excellent for the skin. Now, normally I like to mention that normally I would be putting shea butter in my soap, but I have none. So almond oil replaces the shea butter. It's like it's called super fat. And basically it's what stays in the soap and really moisturizes your skin, because a lot of these oils work their way out of the soap. But the super fatting oils, they stay in there, and that's where you get all that moisture from. So here we go, 2.20. Sorry, I have to just keep stepping to the side to see what my recipe says. I'm going to just pour in a spoon when I get close to the number that I want, because I don't want to go over. All right. So that's that one. And then the next one will be walnut oil, which is 0.55. So just a little bit. I'm going to tear the scale. It'd be good if I took the cap out. Right, 0.55. So it should be just a little bit over 2 tablespoons. Okay, perfect. And then the last one will be the grapeseed oil. And that is also 0.55. Now, like I said, before you do this or try to do it, you need to know the differences between the oils, which ones don't go together well. You need to know all that. So if you guys truly are interested in something like this, I will do some short tutorials, not making soap, but explaining that kind of thing. And you know what? The grapeseed oil just broke on me, the tab. Let's see. Well, we're going to skip the grapeseed because I can't get the thing out, and put a little more walnut oil. Another 0.55. There we go. So that's all of our oils. So now what I need to do is I need to put this in the microwave and melt everything down. So I'm going to pause you guys. I'm going to put this in the microwave for approximately 1 minute and 30 seconds. While I'm waiting for my oils and lye to reach the correct temperature, I can go ahead now and show you how to mix up your colors and measure out your fragrance. So, the fragrance I'm using is by Brambleberry, and it is called Coconut Citrus Sorbet. And my recipe tells me that I need 1.10 ounces of fragrance for the amount of soap I am making. If you haven't heard of Brambleberry, they are a top soap making supplier. They carry the colors, the micas, the fragrances. There are tons of soap making supplies, places. Just research. I'll list a couple of names down in the bottom of the video if you guys want to just browse around. So, just like everything else, I got to measure out 1.10 ounces of fragrance. If it goes over a little, it's okay. Actually, I just may put it over a little bit just to have a stronger scented soap. Fragrances sometimes, depending on their composition and what they're made of, which I don't know. I don't think anybody knows except for the manufacturers. Sometimes, just like colorants and resin, and I keep comparing this to resin because it's like it a little bit. Sometimes colorants and resin accelerate it heating up and thickening it up and all of that. That's what this does to some soap, the batter. I can put this in there and it cannot affect it at all, and then I could try a different type of fragrance and my soap batter is as hard as a rock in 2.0 seconds in the bowl, and it's garbage. So that's another topic that I could also go over if anybody's interested in this. I personally have been doing soap making for 5 years now. It is the number one thing that I sell. I made a good amount of money off of it when I was really into going to craft fairs and selling to friends and family, and then I found resin and acrylic and it kind of went to the wayside, but I love it. So now for our colors. What you're going to need to do is you can either, sorry, my scale is flipping out. You can either mix the color right into the batter. Once the batter's done, I have to separate it into however many colors that I want, just like resin. So you can literally take the mica and put it right into the batter, just like you do with resin. Then you have to blend it and blend it and blend it to make sure there's no lumps and bumps, just like with resin. Or you can use a teensy amount of most likely almond oil and pre-mix a little paste, just like we do with resin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the colors that I'm going to use in the cup with some almond oil and pre-mix them so that when I put the colors into the soap batter, I don't have to blend it up too much, because over blending can cause the soap to thicken up quicker also. See, there's a lot of little bits and pieces to this. So I'm doing just like a basic general video, but there's a lot that I could teach you if you are interested. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 cups that I need to put color in. I'm sorry, 6. So the first color I'm going to be using is by Brambleberry. It's called Gold Sparkle Mica. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my almond oil in first Actually, no. I'm going to put the color in first so it doesn't puff up as much. So I'm going to get a tongue depressor or a popsicle stick, whichever one I could grab here. And the cups of soap are only going to be full, probably halfway. So this now is not like mica. You need more to color. So I'm going to put it down in there, and you should be wearing a mask, which I am not. You're going to put it down in the bottom and make your little paste out of it. Now, I want this to be really gold, so I'm putting in I'm just going to finish this jar off. Like I said, now this part is not like resin. It takes a lot to color the soap. So there's the rest of that. We'll just use that one up. I'm going to do probably just one color on camera with you, because the rest are going to be all the same. So here's a pretty Caribbean blue mica. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. And let me just mix up this one with you. So as far as the almond oil goes, add about a teaspoon worth and see if you can blend it up. You're just about a teaspoon worth. Now this will not throw off the recipe because you have almond oil. That's a super fat. It stays in there and the soap loves it. So just mix it into a little paste so that when it's time to put the soap batter in there, you can just swoosh it along and there won't be a ton of bumps in there. Couple of mixes through and you should be good to go. I don't know if these cups are going to work though. They're not very wide. I might have to change cups. Kind of a pain in the ass to get down there. Okay, so now you have a nice looking paste that's ready for soap. So I'm going to mix up my colors and I will be right back. Okay guys, I have my colors mixed up. My oils and lye are both around 103 degrees. So it is time to make some soap. So first off, let me explain something to you. In the beginning of this video, I told you how important exact measurements are. And then you see me adding oil into the colorants. And you may be thinking, isn't that going to throw it off? I'm doing a very small loaf of soap. So I'm using, like I said, a teaspoon of oil. It will be fine. If you're doing like huge, big slab mold loaves of soap where you have like 40 bars in one loaf, then you're going to have to compensate for that with your original batch of oil that you measured out. Meaning, if you use a cup of oil to mix up your colorants, you're going to have to remove a cup of oil that you melted previously, just so it balances out right. But when you're just doing a little bit like I am, it won't make a difference. So now the next part is, let me explain what colors I'm using. I'm using a bright orange, and that is from Make It Supplies from Etsy. I'm using Brambleberry's Caribbean Blue, Lorez Red Magic, hope you're seeing these, Indigo by Lorez, Iridescent Jade by Lorez. I want a portion of the soap to be white. So for that, I'm using titanium dioxide, which I bought from, I believe, Brambleberry, because I don't have the jar anymore for it. And then into the white soap, I'm also adding some of this icicle mica, which is just like an iridescent shimmer. And then if I have enough to pipe on the top, I'm going to pipe it with the white batter and then add a little bit of iridescent glitter that I got from Brambleberry. This is also body safe. Okay? So let me move everything to the side here, get my oils and my lye. Always remember, you have to have some type of a design in mind, what colors you want to use. There's all types of swirling techniques. You can make butterflies, you can make zebras, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. So you need to know what colors you want to use ahead of time so that you're not like scrambling while the soap's batter is sitting there. And then you also need to figure out if you want to put clay. You can put clay into the batter and that helps the bar feel silky. I was going to put silk in this batter, actual silk fibers, but I forgot to do it. And I cannot believe I did that because that's the second time in 2 days I did it. But what would happen is if you had your lye water, when I originally put the lye into the water, it was really, really hot. You just take a little pinch. Now I'm going to show you how much because I was supposed to show how to do this and I forgot to do it again. So let's pretend the lye just went into the water and it's steaming hot. I don't know what I do with my silk now. That's funny. Okay, we're going to skip the silk for next time. Grace, if you're watching, just literally pull off 5 strands of it and put it in there and it'll melt away. I don't know where my silk went, but we're going to move on. So this is all ready and the oils are all ready, and I want to put in kaolin clay because kaolin clay is good for your skin. It makes the bar of soap nice and smooth and silky. It also helps whiten the batter because this is a little yellow from the goat's milk. So it does multiple things. So what I want to do before I add my lye water to this oil is I want to add my clay in. And you don't have to measure this. Just a couple of scoopfuls is fine. Enough so that it is, actually I don't have much left in here, so I'm just going to use it up. All right. The first thing I want to do is emulsify that into the oils before I add the lye. So, I apologize for the noise. It's going to be a little loud, but I have to do this for you to see how it's done. So, when entering your batter with your stick blender, keep your minds out of the gutter, people. Of course, I'm probably the only one thinking about that. When entering the batter, don't go in straight and just start whipping it up. Go in on an angle, nice and slow, okay? Push it down to the ground or bottom of the bowl and tap, tap, tap. The last thing you want in your soap is a bunch of air because then you'll get little holes in the bar that look like that are air pockets. All right, so now I'm just going to pulse it just to whip in that clay. Okay. If you wanted to add ground oatmeal in there or even whole oats, you could. As I said earlier, it's a world of wonders when it comes to soap. There's so much stuff you could do. You could put real chocolate in there. It's just amazing. Really it is. All right, so now that's done. I'm going to take my lye water and I'm going to scrape as much as I can into the oil. I'm going to pour it in. Okay. Get as much of it out as I can. I'm sorry if your view is blocked. I really do not have adequate room here. Okay, so now we have it in there. So now this is just like when you blend them together, the time is ticking. So, just get rid of this bowl. I need to bring this batter to a light trace, meaning I needed it to thicken up a bit. Okay? So again, I am going to go in on the side and then down to the bottom, tap, 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 and then I'm going to blend it up a little bit. Stop. Mix it a little bit with the stick blender. Stop. Mix it again. Okay. A little bit thicker, we need it. You want it to be like a really, really runny pudding yogurt. Okay? Alright, that should be good. Perfect. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of this. Now I'm going to separate my colors into their containers. I need more white than anything. So I have my titanium dioxide right here, and I am going to put a majority of this in there. Titanium dioxide is a pain, as you can see by my spatula, to mix up. It's very lumpy. So I'm going to have to stick blend. Sorry about that. Alright, sorry about that. Very annoying ringtone my partner has here. He can find the most annoying things, I swear to God. Alright, so I'm going to have to stick blend that because there will be lumps and bumps in there. And we don't want that throughout the batter. So I'm going to go in sideways, tap, tap, tap. See how nice and white that got? Tap, 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 tap. Alright. I'm going to keep that to the side, the stick blender, in case I need it again. And now I'm going to pour my colors into each individual cup. A little bit in each. So I want to make sure I have enough for each color. Is that it? I believe that's it. All right, so I'm going to pour just a little bit more in them. I'm not sure if I'll have enough to do the piping. Maybe we'll just stop with the mold, just make a loaf of soap. We'll see. And then the rest I'm going to use in the white here. Make sure you scrape out your bowl. You don't scrape that out, that could be almost a half of a bar that you throw out. So scrapey, scrapey. Okay. Now you notice I haven't put the fragrance in yet, right? And that's because the fragrance can, like I said, act up and make it seize up in the cup. So I'm not going to be doing that. What I am going to do though is add some of this shimmer. Look how pretty that is, huh? Into the white. That's what I made it for. And I'm going to blend it again one more time. Get all of it out of there. Actually, maybe I won't have to blend it. Let's see. Maybe it'll just mix in nicely for me. I'm not sure if you'll even see this on camera or not. Probably not, but it is very sparkly. Let me just put this in there one more time. All right, that is good. It's nice and shimmery. You should also wipe that stick blender to try to get everything off of there. I don't, just for time's sake right now, but you can get a bunch off of there too. So all you're going to do now is just mix stuff up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this green one up nice and good. And then I'm going to switch over to the blue with the same stick, because that little stick is a pain in the ass. Get out of here. So we got it mixed up good. See, just like resin. Put those to the side. The indigo. Okay, and then the bright orange. So pretty. So now I have my fragrance, and fragrance can discolor any of these colors. So I want to be careful, especially with the white part. So I'm going to put a majority of this fragrance into my accent colors. And guess which one I forgot to mix? I forgot to mix up the magic red. Oh, that's a shame. See if I could add a little white in there. See how it's going to be pink though. Probably not going to match. Can't believe that I moved it off to the side. And the gold. Oh my God. Well, the gold I could do something else cool with. You can mix up any of these colors just with the oil and drizzle it on the top of the bar of the loaf that you make, and it'll have a nice glistening color. Yeah, see, the red doesn't, now it looks pink. Oh, well, we'll make it. We'll do it. Can't believe I forgot those. All right, so as I said, a majority of the fragrance in these and then we'll do a little bit in the white. As you can see, it is a yellow fragrance, so it very well could turn that yellow on me. Most of the fragrances do have some color to them, whether it be yellow or brown. The worst one of them all is vanilla. Vanilla will always turn your white batter into a tan or a brown. So now I'm going to hand mix this in. No more blender, because that will speed up the trace process and it will get really, really thick quick on you. So I'm just hand mixing them in. Like I said, I'll use the gold to do a mica drizzle on the top of the soap. And that is such a thing. Research it. So this fragrance behaves very well with the soap. It's not making it get thick or hot quick or any of that. It's mixing in beautifully. And that's always a plus when things cooperate. That's for sure. Okay. And last but not least, the green. All right, let me get my mold. Here we go, guys. This is the fun part. So the first thing I want to do is pour my white in. Get rid of this for a second. And I'm just going to pour in. Yeah, we definitely won't be able to pipe with this. That's too bad. And we're going to scrape out every last bit. Or most of it. That's what I should say. Get it all down in there. Just think of all that expensive coconut oil and olive oil and almond and walnut, and believe me, you'll be scraping forever. All right, so that's that one. So now what I think I want to do is, should I try to do a dirty pour? Let's try to do a dirty pour. Do the blue. Green. Am I getting cells in there? I think I'm getting cells in there. Purple. Whoop. Orange. And pink. Ugh. Hate pink. Just like with acrylic, if you pour up higher, it will sink. So now, I have a little bit left, but let's pour this in first. All right, so let's just pour it up high. Get a nice little swirl going. Look at that. We have soap, guys. Okay. So now what I want to do, before I put the rest on, I want to swirl it with a hanger. I have a little hanger here that I bent into the shape of the mold. I'm going to go down. I'm up against the edge. Let me make sure you guys can see. I'm up against the edge with the hanger. I'll start right here. I'm going to go straight down, and I'm going to swirl and swirl underneath the top layer, not breaking through the top yet. So I went across and I came this way, okay? Came back. Now I'm going to do it again, but just go across on the top and stop. So here we go. See what I'm doing? Bring it up, leave it alone. So now hopefully when we cut it, we'll have a nice, pretty decoration. And decoration. Oh, Lord Jesus, have mercy. You know what I mean? Nice. Oh, I can't even think of the word. A nice image. There you go. Image. We'll stick with that. All right. So now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do another swirl, dirty pour, but I'm going to maybe swirl it in the cup. I don't know. Let me get it in the cup first. I can't make up my mind. Okay, scrape it all in. It smells so good in here. That's one. Let's put the pink in next. Starting to get a little thick, but nothing that isn't manageable. Two. Do the blue next. The blue, orange, and the green. Wish I had a little more white, but I don't, sadly. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to take a pop, one of the tongue depressors. I'm going to try to swirl it in the cup with that. Just go through it a couple of times. Okay, and then I'm just going to, oh, I need a spatula. Excuse me a second. Here we go. I'm going to use the spatula to break its fall so it doesn't break through my design I've done already. So I'm going to put this here right next to the top, but not on the top, and lightly pour it on, stopping it from really going through and ruining my design. Okay. These colors are absolutely horrid together, but the inside is going to be beautiful because of the white. And I'm going to try to do the mica drizzle on this. So hopefully that will help it out a little bit too from being so fugly. That's fugly. Okay, just a little bit more in there. Just want to get it all out. So normally this mold would be filled to the top, and like I said, I would pipe on top of it and do all kinds of funky stuff, but because I was doing this for all of you, I didn't want to take a chance of ruining a bunch of soap because I have to talk and there's just so much to say, and trust me, I haven't even covered a tenth of this with you, but I figured I'd just make some smaller bars this time. And better safe than sorry. So now what you need to do is take your mold and tap. Don't mind the shaking, please. Tap, 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 tap. Get the air bubbles out if there are any. Do it a few times, okay? Now she's nice and flat in there. Everything's good. So the last part is I'm going to put on a little bit of this iridescent glitter just to give it some sparkle. Okay, not too much. I remember when I first started making soap, I was putting glitter on everything. And guys would come up to the booth and say, "Do you have anything that doesn't have glitter on it?" To be honest with you, the glitter washes right off. Like the first time you use it, it's not going to stay because it's right on top. All right, so now it's time for the mica drizzle. And I have the paste here that I had mixed for a soap color that I forgot to do. So what I'm going to do is make it a little more runnier because I need to be able to suck it up in a pipette and drizzle it onto the soap. Now, you're going to let this cure overnight, at least 24 hours before you try to take it out of the mold. And then you're going to slice it, and you're going to put it somewhere dark and dry for 4 to 6 weeks. In that time, you have to take the bars every 2 to 3 days, or no, maybe once a week, and flip them over. Flip them from side to side, because what happens is the soap will start secreting some of the oil out. So you just want to keep rotating them so that it cures properly. So I don't know if you can see that, it's the consistency of an acrylic pour paint. That's the Mica with the oil. And what I'm going to do is suck some up in a pipette. I'm going to drizzle or drip, whatever I do here, all over the top. Just kind of get it in all this, not covered, but enough of it, because now I'm going to take a chopstick and I'm going to swirl it. Just the top layer. Okay? Just the top. Walmart, $1 for like 10 of them or something like that. So now I'm going to start in this corner doing figure 8s. And I'm just barely breaking through the top with the tip of the stick. Okay? And we are done. Before I let you go, I want to show you it up close. It is actually a very pretty bar of soap now that I added the gold. So, let me get you down. And here we have it. How pretty. Granted, the colors aren't bright like I wanted them to be, but it is pretty nonetheless. So, I want to thank you guys for watching. Like I said, if you want to see more of this and learn more about the oils and what saponification means and superfatting and all those technical terms, leave me a message below. If you don't, then I won't do any more. I mean, I did this one to show people how much fun it is and that it is somewhat a fluid art. If you want to see me make soap but not talk and explain what I'm doing, I could do that too. So you just let me know below what you want me to do. I am all yours, whatever you want. Alrighty, guys. So I will leave some links below, and I just want to say happy pouring.